From Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, building collapses in Kubwa, Abuja, survivors narrate ordeal. Nigerian Navy builds gunboats to battle oil theft in the Niger Delta. Niger lepers community cries out over eviction notice. And on the foreign scene, Pakistan declares a national emergency as flood toll nears 1,000. Hello and welcome to News Hour on Trust Television. I am Dira Onifade. A building under construction in the Kubwa area of Abuja collapsed on Thursday. One of the victims rescued on Friday morning, Hafiz Olayinka, says he was trapped for hours. Olayinka told newsmen that he, alongside others who had been working in the building, were trapped since Thursday night, adding that at about 11:30 p.m. on Thursday, they noticed that the building was collapsing and tried to escape but couldn't. According to him, 5 of them were rescued Friday morning and taken to hospital. Also affected was Gloria Uba, whose car was partially damaged as a result of the incident.
So we did the job, we did all the job to go down. So later on, we begin to hear voice. We hear people voice from the other side. So when I begin to come outside, as I come out first, I'll be the one going to come outside first, for inside the building. I hear my brother, I hear this boy name, my voice. I call and say, how far? Say, are you okay? Say, okay, we are come outside, let's go. So as we go, as we come out now, there's one, there's one place they open. So from there, we will see this light. So from there, so from that light, so they follow the light, they go straight. Before you reach that place, so people don't already there already. People there already. So as we reach that place, so you come outside, they begin to carry us one by one. So you carry us come outside. And later on, we meet all those women and men around this area. So then they get with us, they begin to call police. They even know that they won't carry us go hospital before. They say no. Until police, when they hear make the police just come.
We've been living here for the past 2 years, and I think it was when we came the project started. And from the beginning of the project till this moment, we've been experiencing danger. Sometimes bamboos will fall on our cars. Sometimes my husband is into building, so he has been complaining that this is a bad job they are doing here, poor management and all. So every time we don't sleep well, we're always worried because things are always falling. Even there was a day one stick fell on my son, just that I didn't harm him. So I don't know, right from time we've been worried about this house, but then again, what can we do?
Flood victims in Makurdi, the Benue State capital, are calling on the government to come to their aid as they have lost property and some cannot access their homes due to flood caused by torrential rain. The victims recount their ordeal to our reporter who was in the affected communities. Most parts of Makurdi Township do not have good drainage system, thereby prone to flooding during the rainy seasons.
We don't sleep. Last night we actually had a sleepless night, looking after the water, how the water was passing.
Even they beg with the government, the government may come rescue us with this station with the inside. All my property inside water.
We don't even have water in our area, and this thing has been affecting us every year, now and then. Look at it; they have affected my this thing, even my house. Okay. All my properties in the room have spoiled. So we are pleading to God, to government to at least come and help us do drainage here so that the water can be able to flow.
To defense matters now, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Rabo, has reiterated the Nigerian military's commitment in the fight against oil theft. General Irabor disclosed this during the commissioning of 5 gunboats built by the Nigerian Navy at the Naval Shipyard in Port Harcourt. The production of the gunboat was part of the federal government's effort to develop a robust military-industrial complex capable of meeting the defense needs in the fight against oil theft. Represented by the Director of Logistics at the Defense Headquarters, Rear Admiral Vincent Okeke, he hinted that the Defense Headquarters funded the building of the gunboat, which was built by their men. He said that the gunboat would be deployed immediately alongside troops in the various theaters of operation in the Niger Delta and other places.
These boats are simply to provide added impetus to our personnel in the fight against oil theft, oil and other illegalities. You must agree with me that you need platforms to prosecute the operations, and the most other boats we used to have did not have this ballistic protection. So the men now will be more confident in approaching such illegal sites. Before now, we had issues of being blacklisted by the International Maritime Bureau. Ships were finding it difficult to come here. High insurance premiums were placed on ships and goods being brought in here. But now we have been able to solve that. Now we'll shift our focus to crude oil theft. And I must tell you that it is the pirates that withdrew from piracy that kind of worsened the situation in terms of crude oil theft. But now I can assure you that we are well prepared.
Meanwhile, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Irabor, has said that security challenges in the country are strengthening the resources of the armed forces to its limit. General Irabor spoke at the lecture series of the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, NIIA, in Lagos.
According to Irabor, the military is currently conducting multiple internal security operations in all the 36 states of the Federation, including the Federal Capital Territory, in a bid to restore order and manage security situations in the country.
These asymmetric security challenges are aided in very large measure by the proliferation of small arms and light weapons, and the emergence of groups that engage in banditry, kidnapping, political violence, and other mafia-style violent activities.
He, however, maintained that no inch of the country is under the terrorist control, stressing that the armed forces will provide the needed security to ensure that elections hold in all parts of Nigeria in 2023.
There is no local government that is still under the hold of the criminals. So, but then you still have some of those criminals who run around from one place to the other. So what we did was to root them out. But Sambisa still remains a forest, still remains an enclave. It's not inhabited. We are not there every now and then, but of course once in a while we return to see if those who have routed from there have returned, and that's precisely what we did.
The chairman of the lecture series and former Minister of Health, Julius Adeloso Adeleye, called for appropriate response to address the issues.
What is happening in Nigeria is not new. It is happening elsewhere. It's what you do about it that matters. Those of you who are research driven, try and look for the Daily Times of Nigeria of Tuesday, April 8, 1969. The very full page of it has a banner information saying bandits kidnap Abeokuta trader. So there was banditry there and there was kidnapping.
The Director General of the Institute, Professor Ehosa Osaye, said the foremost research and advisory think tank on foreign policy and international affairs is committed to partner with relevant agencies to address the security challenges in the country.
There are many ways that we can approach the responses that we give, but the key one is to see how we can domesticate some of those things because, as they say, prevention is key to defense.
A former Minister of External Affairs, Professor Bolaji Akeyemi, said the media has a role to play in addressing the security challenges in the country.
The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, in Katsina State has blamed the spate of murder, banditry, and other criminal activities on illicit use of drugs and other substances. Commandant of the Anti-Drug Agency, Bashir Ahmad, said this in an exclusive interview with Trust TV.
The command believes that all capital offenses and other crimes could only be committed when the perpetrators are under the influence of drugs. It is also advising citizens to be wary of those disgruntled and unguided elements who deal in drugs in their communities if they are committed to defeating terrorists and their collaborators. In the same vein, the NDLEA blames parents for not taking the full responsibility of their children to ensure proper upbringing.
A child that grew up under a conducive environment where there is a harmony, moral relationship between the parent and the child is very less likely to take into substance use or drug use in the future, even if such a child faces challenges. All of us know challenges are part of life. But those that grew up under not coordinated home, where there is disassociation between the parents and the child, they are more likely with little challenge pick up into substance use.
The Anti-Drugs Agency in Katsina also believed that if parents and the good people of the state are committed to ending these criminal tendencies, they should make the war against illicit drugs a priority. The command indicated its intention to take the fight to every nook and cranny of the state despite some shortcomings.
As we speak, we have only 2 functional operational vehicles that cover the whole entire state. If Funtua want to go to work, he has to come and collect vehicle from me. If Daura want to go to work, he has to come and collect vehicle from me. And incidentally, it's still one that we use as an official vehicle too. So at times, you are just in between operation and other official duties. We really need logistics. That's why we are saying that they should not leave everything for government alone.
Residents believe that with the current trend of drug abuse by youth, who constitute the majority and the most important segment of the society, achieving the desired socio-economic development could be difficult if drug abuse is not addressed. While asking for synergy between the agency and other stakeholders, the NDLEA commends traditional institutions for putting its weight behind the war against drug abuse.
If you can tackle the issue of drug head on, you invariably reducing other criminal activities in the society. The police will have less work to do, the civil defense will have less work to do, even the road safety on the road will have less work to do if you can reduce the effect of drugs.
The commandant is, however, inspired by the commitments of some people in Katsina State for furnishing the Anti-Drugs Agency with credible information leading to the arrest of some drugs dealers. The agency is also hopeful that the tempo will be sustained until the enemies of the country are defeated. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
The Nasarawa State Police Command has arrested a 33-year-old Navy imposter, Agbasim Joseph Alu. The command's public relations officer, Raman Nansel, revealed this in a statement in Lafia. He said the suspect, who claimed to be working in Kogi State, was on 25th August arrested at Doma Market in Doma local government area of the state by operatives of 4 Special Forces Command while putting on full military camouflage. The PPRO explained that preliminary investigations revealed that the suspect procured the military regalia at Lagos State and has been wearing it to deceive unsuspecting members of the public before nemesis caught up with him. Police in Yobe has handed over 2 soldiers suspected of killing Islamic cleric Goni Aisami to the army authorities for investigation. Police Public Relations Officer Bungus Abdurrahim told newsmen in Damaturu that the army will investigate the soldiers, after which the police will prosecute the suspect. Lance Corporal John Gabriel, a soldier attached to the 24th Reke Model Battalion, Nguru, confessed to shooting the cleric who offered him lift last Friday. The Borno State Governor, Babagana Umara Zulum, on Friday directed the State Urban Development Board to immediately unseal NNPP Secretariat in Maiduguri. The governor's spokesman, Malam Issa Guzo, said in a statement issued on Friday that the governor became aware of the board's action accordingly, and the governor said no matter the justification, the timing is wrong. The statement further revealed that in the last 3 years, the Borno State Urban Development Board has been carrying out a series of reforms, which include the sealing of some buildings operated by individuals, corporate bodies like banks, and even some government institutions who contravened laws relating to Maiduguri's town planning procedures, although the board claimed to have acted in the same regard by sealing NNPP's headquarters for wrongful contravention of residential area for office purposes. Governor Zulum regards the board's action as wrongly timed, which can heat up the polity. The governor believed that reversing the decision is in the overall public interest for peace. Governor Zulum believes that all political parties should be free to lawfully operate, and citizens should be free to associate with political parties of their choice without hindrance. Yakubu Mekeu has been sworn in as the president of the Nigerian Bar Association, NBA, following the expiration of the tenure of Olumide Akpata. Speaking after being sworn in on Friday, the new president commended his predecessor for the giant strides recorded at the NBA in the last 2 years. Mekeu promised to sustain and build on the laudable achievements and projects of the Akpata administration. He extended a hand of fellowship to all those who contested against him for the office of the NBA president, saying he and his team would be coming to tap from their depth of knowledge from time to time. Mekeu, a senior advocate of Nigeria, is taking over as the 31st president of the NBA following his victory at the association's election held in July. The National Broadcasting Commission has temporarily suspended the shutdown of the indebted broadcast stations all over the country 1 week after it issued a shutdown notice to affected organizations. A statement on Friday signed by the Director General of the Commission, Balarabe Shehu Ilela, which announced the NBC's decision, explained that the regulatory agency had received positive responses from the debtor licensees, including big players in the broadcast industry. The NBC Director General said the Commission was aware of the difficulties the shutdown must have caused the operators and other stakeholders, but stressed that the regulator would always operate within the National Broadcasting Commission Act 2004. The NBC decision had attracted a lot of reactions and even a court order. However, what finally tipped the cat was a follow-up meeting held on Wednesday with executives of the broadcasting organizations of Nigeria, BORN, and other critical stakeholders in the industry. The Minister of Water Resources, Suleiman Adamu, on Friday said the proposed inter-basin water transfer from Congo River into the Lake Chad is possible but expensive and would require more consultations. The minister said this at a media forum with the theme Engage, Educate and Empower Nigerians on the legacy project of the Federal Ministry of Water Resources. The minister said massive interventions ongoing in the basin had been largely impacted by effects of climate change, adding that about 40 million people depend on the natural resources of Lake Chad. He said Nigeria is currently working to improve the hydrolicity of River Chari and Logon through dredging and improvement of the riverbanks. In 2017, the federal government successfully conducted a feasibility study towards recharging the Lake Chad through an inter-basin water transfer from the Congo Basin at an estimated cost of $15 billion. This is a part of the project envisioned to transform the region into a major stable economic hub as the counter-terrorism and counter-insurgency operation against Boko Haram in the northeast draws to a close. Commuters plying Pariawuro-Boki Road, one of the oldest roads that link Adamawa State with the Republic of Cameroon, have called for the rehabilitation and construction of the abandoned and dilapidated road. According to the commuters, the road was dilapidated for decades, affecting agricultural production and other commercial activities capable of boosting revenue generation in the state. Salis Lawan has details.
Gire Pariawuro-Boki Road is one of the oldest roads that linked Adamawa State with the Republic of Cameroon. Some motorists plying the 52-kilometer Gire Pariawuro-Boki Road explained that the road has become a death trap, causing accidents due to its bad nature. They also highlighted how the abandoned and dilapidated road is critically affecting business activities, especially in terms of transporting of commodities to market.
Sometimes we find it difficult to take people to the hospital from Paria to the town due to the bad nature of the road. As drivers who ply this road always, we are pleading with the government to come to our rescue and rehabilitate the road.
You have seen how the nature of the road is. These days, the culverts have drained and washed away after a heavy downpour. During rainy season, we find it difficult to access the road from Paria to Wuro-Boki and Gire communities. Stakeholders believed if reconstructed, Gire Pariawuro-Boki Road will not only boost the economic fortunes of the border community, but also reduce criminal activities.
The road has totally blocked. As you can see, over 50 of our vehicles are parked due to the bad nature of the road because we find it difficult to drive to any locality. We are stranded because we no longer transport goods and commodities to markets. Therefore, we are appealing with the government to do the needful and rehabilitate the road.
Reconstructing the road, they said, will be a game changer for commuters. Salis Lawan, Trust TV News, Yola.
The lepers community in Niger State has called on the state government to help build a permanent home for them. The call followed a notice to the residents by the management of the IBB Specialist Hospital asking them to vacate their homes to pave way for expansion. Abubakar Akote reports.
Kampanin Kutare, which means lepers community, is less than 10 minutes drive from Mina town, the state capital. The community, which is some meters away from the IBB Specialist Hospital, was purported to have occupied the government land belonging to the IBB Specialist Hospital. The community of 38 houses has a population of at least 600 residents, who came from various states, including Sokoto, Zamfara, Katsina, Niger, among others, for treatment at the Niger State Leprosy Hospital. Aside the quit notice from government, the stigmatization from other members of the society is also a thing of concern to the lepers and their families.
I came here to receive medication, and we have hospitals in our place, but they are all obsolete. The sickness is getting worse, and I was told that the best place for me to come is Niger State.
Residents here also lamented over lack of toilet facility, poor housing condition, and lack of regular water supply from the State Water Board.
I've been here for 8 years, and I hail from Kagara, Niger State. I've come to receive medication. I don't want to go back home again, because this place is already my home. I'm from Katsina State, and we've been confronting so many challenges. We are appealing to the state government to come to our rescue so that we can feel carried along.
The head teacher of Kampala Bari Primary School, Samuel Yusuf, said it took intervention of some teachers and non-governmental organizations such as Leprosy Mission, who came forward to assist the pupils by buying learning materials for them to encourage them.
Some of them are lack of money to buy the school materials. The teaching and learning materials, sometimes we are lack here. But with the help of the government, local government here, the supply, and in terms of school uniform and shoe and other things, is with some government NOG that come in sometimes to maybe give support.
Efforts to get officials of the Niger State Ministry of Health to speak on relocation notice failed as officials declined comment, asking this reporter to formally write.
Abubakar Akote's report presented from the studio. You're watching News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break, parents lament over the detrimental effects of prolonged ASUU strike on future of children. Stay with us.
Every patriotic Nigerian should hear this. Any politician who means well for the people will never allow themselves or their supporters to engage in any violent, destructive activities. No politician who truly wants to serve the people and develop the nation will encourage his followers to destroy properties or take human lives before, during, or after the elections. The Nigerian public must watch out for these traits and isolate any politician who encourages supporters to engage in violence. No genuine politician or patriot will cause trouble and seek to destroy the very society which they aspire to lead or develop. Politicians who have the good of the people at heart will not allow themselves or their followers to engage in violence, destruction of properties, and then taking of lives. Be vigilant. By their words you shall know them. Shun violence. Stay away from politicians who want you to do so. Let's join hands to make the 2023 elections peaceful. This message is from the National Orientation Agency, NORA.
TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is News Hour on Trust Television, a recap of our top stories. Building collapses in Kubwa, Abuja, survivors narrate ordeal. And Nigerian Navy builds gunboats to battle oil theft in the Niger Delta. Now moving to other stories, the Zamfara state government is providing free medical services and drugs to over 35,000 poor and vulnerable persons across 14 local government areas of the state. The state deputy governor, Senator Hassan Nashiha, who is ensuring the thorough implementation of the exercise, said the program is part of the present administration's commitment to improving healthcare service delivery to the common man in the state.
Over a decade, Zamfara State had suffered
We're sorry we're having some issues with that report technically. We'll try to bring it back to you if we can. Moving on now, the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, NIPS, and the Development Research and Project Center, DRPC, have called for the boosting and promotion of health systems at local government levels for the well-being of the common man. The call was made in Jos Plateau State at a policy dialogue on strengthening health governance in Nigeria, which was held at the Institute. Dixon Adama report as presented from our studio.
Speaking at the event, NIPSS Director General Professor Ayo Motayo said the dialogue will examine the state of health governance at the local government level in Nigeria, identify the key drivers, and evaluate the challenges confronting health governance at those levels, and make policy recommendations that will promote health at the local government level in Nigeria. He urged political parties in the country to endeavour to make health issues prominent in their forthcoming electioneering campaigns, saying that the parties will eventually form government at the national and state levels, and they will be expected to give health a priority in their programming and activities.
Local governance in Nigeria is the major thing that SEC 44 is interrogating. We have people from all walks of life attending and representing their various organizations at this time. Now, for local governance, there is a lot of other sectors that are involved, and one of those is the healthcare sector, which of course is very, very critical. From what the saying has always been, they say when you have good health, you have everything.
Lives in one local government or the other. Sometimes when we say local governance, people think we are thinking of rural. No. Local governance is about people, citizens, being able to access governance within their community wherever they live. That means you're also able to access services like education, like health, like services like public transportation. All of these services should be available to every citizen, every resident in the vicinity within which they live. And that means that a topic like health governance, because we know that health is a development issue, we know that without good health, the nation is in peril, because health is also a security issue.
The dialogue agreed that there must be a transparent system that assess what is within realistic limits of resources available for health at the local, state and federal level, and that building a successful health systems must start with a new mindset and clear fundamental decisions.
Stakeholders in Osun State says adequate awareness of violence against persons prohibition and administration of criminal justice laws will curb sexual and gender-based violence in the state. A social development advocate in the state, Benjamin Ayeni, in an exclusive interview with Trust TV's Hamid Oyegbade in Osogbo, urged civil societies to raise awareness of the existence of the law among residents. Ayeni and a magistrate in the state, Oyindamola Daramola, spoke with our correspondent on the sideline of a training organized by a non-governmental organization, Community Advancement Initiative for Self-Reliance for judicial officers and members of the civil society.
Currently, there is still a high level of ignorance as far as this law is concerned. Many people, even among the general populace, they don't understand, they don't even know what this law stipulates. So civil society need to play a prominent role in educating or creating awareness and sensitizing the people on the need to understand this law. It is what you know that you can actually, not be a victim of, or that you can actually fight. So the role of the civil society is very, very key.
The activities of the prosecutors cannot be over.
That report from Osogbo. Human rights lawyer Inebehe Effiong has been released from Uyo prison after spending 30 days for alleged contempt of court. The chief judge of Akwa Ibom State, Ekaete Obot, on 27 July sentenced Effiong to prison after the lawyer objected to the presence of 2 armed police operatives in the courtroom. Effiong told waiting reporters and supporters that he considers it an honor to go to jail for saying the truth. He said his incarceration has strengthened his resolve to fight for truth and justice in Nigeria. The Delta State Governor, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, has said the ongoing leisure park and film village will be run by private sector for the benefit not just of the state, but for the communities and visitors to the park. Governor Okowa disclosed this to newsmen shortly after inspecting the ongoing project in Asaba, the state capital. Governor Okowa expressed optimism that the ongoing project will be open to the public at all times, adding that it would be run by industry experts.
The leisure park itself will be run commercially, the film village will also be run commercially, and the zoo itself will be run commercially for the benefit not just of the government, but for the benefit of the community and all those who are visiting. Because that is the only way they can have proper maintenance and also ensure that the services are such that it's pleasing to the public. We just went into the zoo that over 70% of the animals that would have come in can't come in now until there is a final finish to the areas. We saw the lion and some other things, but we're hoping that in the next 1 month, because we're going to take some very quick action concerning the funding, to look for an alternative means of funding for them.
A 5-day National Council on Works meeting has ended in Kano State, with Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, saying that the federal government is making concerted efforts to ensure that all its road projects across the country are completed in no distant time. His ministry has pledged completion of all infrastructure projects before the end of the Buhari administration. Trust TV's correspondent Idris Jibrin was there and now reports.
These are representatives of various ministries of works across the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, meeting for the 28th time to deliberate on the challenges and prospect of various government projects, with particular reference to roads construction across the country.
The themes of this year's event tag infrastructure, the ceiling, of completion is quite relevant to the prevailing situation as Nigeria is presently heading to yet another end of political dispensation in the year 2023.
Chairing the council meeting is the Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, who confirmed the federal government commitment in executing developmental projects across the country.
You can see what we did in 2017, 482 kilometers of road with the school, 100 million naira. In 2018, 642 kilometers with the school, and 757 kilometers in 2020 with the school. And we are still moving on with the 2021 school. And I'm sure that across the 36 states and the FCT, when you drive around, you will see signs of the school working in your states.
For Governor Abdullahi Ganduje, the choice of Kano to host the 2022 National Council meeting on works is not surprise, considering the effort of his government toward providing road infrastructure across the commercial city of Kano. At the end of this meeting, these senior government officials and top politicians are expected to provide answers on how soon various government projects will be completed and also a blueprint on establishing more infrastructures across the country. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
With the influx of people into the Federal Capital Territory as a result of urbanization, pedestrian bridges have become a necessity to reduce the rate of pedestrian-related accidents and ease intra-city shuttle. In this report, Neil Sampson looks at the security risks associated with using the bridges, especially at night, despite their importance.
Pedestrian bridges are structures built over railway, river or road to enable people or vehicles cross from one side to the other. This function of theirs, especially on highways, have reduced fatal accidents on the roads. Hence, the government deems it necessary to have them in busy roads within the city. Despite their significances, the bridges have unfortunately become an ambush point for criminals who rob unsuspecting users, especially at night.
Pedestrians have been useful to us. At times when I'm coming, I used to mix it, but in the afternoon it's okay. But towards evening time, it's very dangerous, seriously. I've been wearing it, but one of my friends, I think happened to, that's when I believe that it happens to me.
Yeah, though we are hearing instances where some persons are being robbed at night, maybe when it is extremely too late, but I have not fallen victim of it anyway. But I've heard stories, instances where a good number of persons have been robbed, attacked. The essence of pedestrian bridges is something we cannot overemphasize. It's very important. Yeah, it helps to actually reduce the accidents on the road, pedestrians being knocked down on the road by cars.
Also, citizens without proper toileting systems in their houses defecate openly at the foot of these bridges.
Yeah, a good number of us. In fact, you see faces on the pedestrian bridges and you'll be wondering who must have done that.
Users who suggest ways for making the bridges safer at night are hopeful that government will act accordingly.
I think they can just have maybe security men around here. Maybe they can just park here so that at least people can have that safety at heart, that okay, using this pedestrian is safe, just like they do in other places.
The only thing that I will say that can do is maybe they should just be bringing their monitoring units to at least be staying around. Government can help us so that we can put more security around the places so that we will be okay.
Irrespective of the dangers encountered by the users of these bridges, they remain important for daily commuting. Hence, the need for government to address challenges around their safe usage. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Parents in Taraba State have continued to express dismay over the prolonged ASUU strike that is exposing students to anti-social behaviors. Some residents in Jalingo, the state capital, while speaking to our correspondent, described the strike as a major setback to the educational growth in the country.
It's too bad about this strike that our children are in now. First of all, The school that when your children start up, which is supposed to spend 4 or 5 years, they will now stay in the house more than 6 years and they won't finish. Why? It's because of strike.
I'm even lacking words to express my dismay over the issue. It hurts everybody. The impact is very famous. People fail to understand it's not for only our kids. The economy, the society we are living in. These boys or these children are not going to school. They can venture into any profession, anything. It's very hazardous to the economy, to the society, to we parents.
Honestly, ASU strike have affected me so badly, in the sense that I had a plan in life of which my graduation is part of it. But unfortunately, I can't even think of graduating anytime soon because we are at home. And our parents that are there suffering, making ends meet just to see us go through school. And they've already planned everything. All of a sudden, ASU came and spoiled our plans. And it's hurting.
ASU strike affected me very badly, and I'm angry speaking now because ASU strike interrupted my business. I'm an entrepreneur, and most of my clients, my customers, they are students. And spending 4 years in diploma and just getting admission after writing JAMB for 7 years, thinking I'm going to graduate this year or next year, ASU have kept me home again and scatter my plans, scatter my business, everything. So I'm very angry and I'm not happy with the government of Nigeria because they've done us more harm than good.
As a developing economy, we are supposed to take education very serious because it is education that on its own that is a human resource base that will stimulate the social aspects of development like health, agriculture, water resources, and the gifts of the land.
Nasarawa State University, KEFI, and National Veterinary Research Institute, VOM, Plateau State, have agreed to work together to improve academic research capacity in animal fields. To this end, a memorandum of understanding was signed at the Senate chamber of the Nasarawa State University, KEFI, Nasarawa State. Correspondent Abubakar Abdullahi sent in this report as presented from our studio.
The Vice-Chancellor of the Nasarawa State University, KEFI, Professor Suleiman Mohammed, and the Executive Director, National Veterinary Research Institute, VOM, Plateau State, Dr. Mariam Mohammed, signed the MOU in collaboration between the two organizations. Professor Mohammed said the major areas agreed by the two parties include joint research and mapping, exchange of staff and students on fellowship, sabbatical internship and students' industrial work experience schemes, CUS, as well as joint publication and exchange of artificial dissemination services.
I am happy that today we are signing an MOU which clearly specifies areas of the collaboration and the expectation from the two parties. Today is therefore a historic day for us. Today is a day that will formalize what we have started. I want to also state that by the special grace of God, when we sign this MOU, we are going to faithfully implement the MOU.
The Executive Director, National Veterinary Research Institute, JOS, Dr. Mariam Mohammed, explained that for about 100 years, NVRI has been collaborating with different organizations in the areas of research and maintained that the signing of the agreement with the Nasarawa State University will no doubt improve academic research in the institution.
That collaborations with institutions like ours and yours are what will move and improve development in our country, both for research, academics, and for development. So we are very happy with this collaboration. Our doors are open in NVRI, and we look forward very much to collaborating with you and to having you increase and improve the quality of research that we do in NVRI.
The endorsement of the MOU by the heads of the two academic institutions signifies that the two institutions are ready to work together to achieve their desired goals in research and innovations.
Let's now join Chamun Dabeng for more on business.
The National Bureau of Statistics says Nigeria's gross domestic product GDP grew by 3.54% year-on-year in real terms in the second quarter of 2022. A report released on Friday, however, notes that the growth rate declined compared to 5.01% recorded in the second quarter of 2021, when rapid growth was recorded following the toll the COVID-19 pandemic had exacted on the economy in quarter 2 2020. Unfortunately, recent rising prices have adversely impacted on the second quarter 2022 performance, with quarter 2 2022 growth rate decreasing by 1.47% point from 5.01% growth rate recorded in quarter 2 2021 and increasing by 0.44% relative to 3.11% in quarter 1 2022. In the quarter under review, aggregate GDP stood at over 45 million in nominal terms, recording an average daily oil production of 1.43 million barrels per day, lower than the daily average production of 1.61 million barrels per day recorded in the same quarter of 2021, and lower than the first quarter 2022 production volume of 1.49 million barrels per day. The oil sector contributed 6.33% to the total real GDP in quarter 2 2022, down from the figures recorded in the corresponding period of 2021 and the preceding quarter, where it contributed 7.42% and 6.63% respectively. British Airways may quit flying to Nigeria as of December 1st, 2022, while the issue of the trapped $464 million in foreign airline funds continues. Travel agents will not be allowed to issue new tickets for their clients after the British airline stopped its inventory on Friday. Instead, people may only purchase tickets online and in US dollars. According to the airline, the choice was made to lessen the impact of the frozen cash, since foreign airlines plan to take drastic measures, such as suspending flights, to put pressure on the federal government of Nigeria to release their funds. Emirates Airlines is set to suspend flight by September 1st over the same issue, as the UAE carrier has over $85 million trapped in Nigeria. The development was verified by the National Executive Council of the National Association of Nigerian Travel Agencies, NANTA. Following the new developments, the time frame British Airways gave the Nigerian government, the association recommended its members not to issue or pay for tickets after December. That's all for business news. I am Chamun Dabeng.
We move to the foreign scene now. In Islamabad, Pakistan, the government has declared devastating floods a national emergency after nearly 1,000 people died and more than 30 million are without shelter as monsoon rains continue to lash the South Asian country. At least 937 people have died since mid-June, including 343 children, according to the National Disaster Management Authority, with large swaths of the southwestern province of Balochistan remaining submerged, bringing back the memory of the devastating floods. More than half of the casualties are from Balochistan and southern Sindh province, where 234 and 308 people died respectively amid record rain that have affected 500,000 houses across the country. Fida Hussein, laborer from a remote village in Sindh, is grieving for his son who was swept away by the deluge. Now, flooding in Afghanistan this month has killed more than 180 people as torrential rains wrought widespread devastation in central and eastern Afghan provinces. Taliban spokesman Zabiullah Mujahid said at a news conference on Thursday that 182 people had been killed and 250 injured. More than 3,000 houses were destroyed and thousands of livestock were killed, exacerbating the country's economic and humanitarian crisis. Afghanistan has been reeling from natural disasters this year, including droughts and an earthquake that killed more than 1,000 people in June. The nation has been largely cut off from the international financial system since the Taliban took over more than a year ago. Global humanitarian agencies have provided assistance for months, but have warned that they need more access and funding to avoid a humanitarian disaster. We will now join Adeni Ajishafe for sports.
World Soccer Governing Body FIFA has released the latest rankings for August without a notable movement among the top 50 teams. Nigerian Super Eagles, who last played their competitive football in the qualifier of 2023 African Cup of Nations, ranked at the first in the world and fourth in Africa. African champion Teranga Lions of Senegal is Africa's top team, ranked 18th in the world. Tunisia is rated third in Africa and world 38th, while Indomitable Lions of Cameroon placed 5th and 38th in the world. Brazil are top of the world ranking, ahead of Belgium, Argentina, France, and England, respectively. And in hockey, African Hockey Federation has handed the Nigerian hockey national team a passage to participate in the 2023 All-African Games. 3 West African teams, including Nigeria, Ghana, and Sierra Leone, were billed to participate in the qualifier slated for Abuja between August 25 to 30th. Team Sierra Leone filed withdrawal letter on the eve of the qualifier, which led to the automatic cancellation of the qualifier. In the early hours of Thursday, African Hockey Federation announced the cancellation of the qualifier and handed both Team Nigeria and Team Ghana an automatic ticket to participate in the African Games to be hosted by Ghana. That's Sport News. I am Adeni Ajishafe.
And with that, we've come to the end of News Hour on Trust TV. For more news, connect with us across all our social media platforms. I am Diro Onifade. Have a nice weekend.